Hi, and welcome to the first session of our grade 4 course that covers mainly our algebra and shape side of the GCSE. If you've done one of our courses before, then you absolutely know what to expect. If this is your first time, then it's really simple, really straightforward. There's nothing complicated about it. What we do each session is introduce a new piece of learning. We practice that piece of learning, and then we may add to it in the following session. But we always repeat it. At the beginning of every session is an opportunity to just recap, to just go over what we've learned so far. As far as this course goes, the topics will stretch into grade 5. I'm not going to do a course that does just the grade 4, and then you have to go and do a second course in order to see how it develops. So if we're doing a topic, we are doing that topic right the way through to the top end of it. So indices, we will introduce it in one at the kind of grade 4 level, at the early level, and then we will make sure that that is extended all the way through so that you can answer any question that you may be given on indices. So you will not be restricted just to grade 4 content. It's just that the majority of this course starts at the grade 4, which is why we labeled it grade 4. Okay, let's just get going and see how this works. So we are looking at our indices. So we're going to start off with the first rule. So we've got a question like x to the 4 times x to the 3. And there's a really simple rule that helps us answer this question. Now, before we see the rule, we're going to see why the rule is what it is. So x to the power of 4, that means multiply x by itself 4 times. So I've got x times x times x times x. That is my x to the 4. Okay, that's it right there. And then my x to the 3 is going to be x multiplied by itself 3 times. So that's my x to the 3 right there. Now I am being told to multiply my x to the 4 and my x to the 3. So I need to put another multiplication sign here. And when I do that, I can create a full string of x's where there are 7 being multiplied by themselves. So this gives a final result of x to the 7. And hopefully we can see what the shortcut is with this. I had x to the 4 times x to the 3, and I ended up with x to the 7. And the rule is to add the powers. So that's the first rule. When you have a times question, you add the powers. Okay, let's look at the next rule, which is our divide rule. So if I've got y to the 5 and I divide that by y to the 3, you may already have some idea of what is going to happen, but I am going to obviously explain it so it's clear. Now, the first thing to note is it's very rare, not impossible, but it's very rare to be given a division question using the divide sign, because in algebra we don't use it. So technically this should be how you expect to see it. But I have seen that divide sign being used sometimes on the very, very simple questions. So it could be there, but it's more likely going to be represented like this. Now, y to the 5 doesn't change its meaning because it's a divide question. It means multiply y by itself 5 times. So y times y times y times y times y is the top of my fraction. The bottom is y times y times y. And then when you've got a matching number, top and bottom, you can cross them off. You can kind of cancel them out. So they pair up and cancel with each other, leaving me with just y times y on the numerator, which can be represented as y to the power of 2. So I have gone from 5 and 3 to 2. And the rule, if you haven't spotted it already, is you take the powers away. So if you've got a divide question, you take the powers away. So the last rule that we're going to see in this session is this one, where you've been given a power and it's being raised to another power. So this is like a power to a power, okay? If we think about this question, it's saying you have to multiply this number by itself 3 times. So if I do that, I've got p to the 2 times p to the 2 times p to the 2. And then if I go back to what we did originally with our timesing, the rule when you have a times question, which is what I've now written, is to add the powers. And if I add those powers, 2 plus 2 plus 2, I get p to the 6. So the shortcut of this type of question is to multiply the powers. So it may be a good idea to make a note of this. It's a good idea to make notes on everything we do as we go along, but I don't often remember to remind you about the notes. So really just be pausing whenever you need to make the notes that you want to make, and then just be hit and play again. Okay, I think it's really nice to put a summary together, and then when we do the next session, you add those in as well, and then you've got a kind of nice little flashcard that reminds you of all the facts about indices and what you need to be able to recall for the exam. So the first one we've learned is that if a question is 8 times, what you do to the powers is add them. If the question is divide, you take the powers. And if a question is a power to a power, you times them. And those are obviously the key facts that you need to be able to recall. That's that knowledge that you need to secure, okay? So if you are going to write that out, just leave a little bit of space underneath, because we'll be adding some more rules to that next time. All right, so let's have a cleanup and let's just have a play around with this, okay? So if I gave you the question x to the power of 9 times x to the 11, okay, what would the answer be? Now, if you need time, pause and then hit play. Every question, just pause it, do it, and then hit play when you're ready. So the answer to this one is x to the 20. We are just going to add the powers, okay? So what can I do to make this a little trickier? Because it's really quite easy at the moment, isn't it? So one of the things that I can do is I could say I've got p to the 4 and times that by p to the negative 8. So hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, so the rule isn't going to change just because one of the indices is now negative. I'm still going to add. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to end up with, and I'm going to do my working out a little bit further away. I've got 4, and then I'm going to add that negative 8. And obviously a plus and a minus, 1 minus in the combination means that you have a minus to perform. So 4 take away 8 is minus 4. So the answer to this one would be p to the minus 4. If you got that right, brilliant work, well done. Let's do another one where we've got those negatives and see if we are not going to let that put us off. There you go. Hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, and we have got minus 3, add minus 6. We know that that's going to change to negative. Minus 3 minus another 6 is going to take me to minus 9. So Z minus 9 is my final answer. So yeah, you do have to take a little bit of care because it's very easy to go wrong with those negatives. Okay, what else could I do? What about 3x to the 5 times 2x to the minus 2? Press play when you're ready. Okay, so with this question, we will do any maths that we can. So we have got 3 times 2. So I will do the 3 times 2. That's going to give me 6. And then I will do the power work. So if I've actually been given numbers, I will do the numbers in exactly the normal way that I would. And then I would do the power work. So I've got x to the 5. I've got to add -2. So basically, I've got to take away 2. I've got x to the 3 as my final answer. So that's just some of the ways that we can take the times question, which has the rule add the powers, and just try and make it a little bit trickier. Okay, so we're going to see the same with the divide now. You've kind of got a good idea of what to do thanks to our work on the times in questions. There you go, that's a little different. So hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, now this one can sometimes cause a problem because there is no physical power to be seen on that y as the denominator. So you have to know a little fact, and that is that when you don't have a power there at all, there is technically an invisible 1. And you can put that 1 in and show it whenever there's a single letter, just so that you can then process it through really easily. So I know the rule is take. 5 take 1 is 4. So my answer is y to the 4. And well done if you worked out that that y would be worth 1. Okay, here's the next one. We're going to do m to the -3 divided by m to the 4. Press play when you're ready. Okay, so I'm going to do my workings out over here. I'm doing -3, -4. So I'm at -3. I'm going down the number line a further 4 places. That's going to give me m to the -7. Okay, let's do another one. P to the -2 over P to the -4. Have a go at that question and press play when you're ready. Okay, so I've got -2 and then I've got to take away -4. It's really worth doing that piece of working out and writing it down because your eyes visually feed the information. So your brain doesn't have to think about it. Your brain is free to just think about the maths it needs to do rather than trying to hold on to it as well. So writing it down is so good. And so many people don't, but it's a really good strategy for not getting lost. Okay, so I've got 2 negatives. 2 negatives make a positive. -2 plus 4. Now, adding takes me up the number line. So if I'm at -2 and I go 4 places up, I'm going to end up at +2. So my answer is p to the power of 2. And hopefully that went well. Okay, let's look at the third rule. I think you're getting the idea now. So first of all, can you remember it without looking at your notes? There we go. And the answer is x to the 10. A power to a power, we multiply those indices. Okay, let's have a go at this one. Press play when you're ready. Okay, -2 times 8. -2 times 8. So when I do my negatives, especially the multiplying and dividing, I mean, they're never going to ever touch because a times or a divide sign is going to be in the way anyway. I just count the number of negatives I see. If there's 1 in the question, there's 1 in the answer. It's a really easy way of doing it. And if there's 2 negatives come together, make a plus. So I've got -2 times 8, which is -16. So it's y to the -16 as my final answer. Okay, here's another one for you. I'm going to give you 2y to the 4 and raise it to the 3. Press pause and have a go with that. Okay, now this one often does go wrong. Okay, because you've got a times rule on the y, a lot of people want to times the 2, but there's a completely different thing going on there. That 2 is being raised by the power 3, which means 2 times 2 times 2. It doesn't mean 2 times 3. Now 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So 8 is going to be the number that comes out. Now I can times the powers for that rule, and 4 times 3 is 12. So we've got y to the 12. 8 y to the 12 is the answer. So watch out for that, because this is happening more and more, where you are being given a number here. So just be really, really aware of that, okay? Okay, let's just do a couple of other questions of how they might be able to use those rules and extend you slightly differently, and then you're ready to practice. So first one is going to be 3x squared and p to the power of 4 times 5x p to the 3. Gosh, I don't know if my microphone's picking it up, but it's raining really hard. So if there's a strange sound going on, it's the rain in the background. Okay, press pause and have a go when you're ready with that one. Okay, so really the only thing I've done is added in a second letter. You're going to do everything bit by bit, step by step. So the numbers are 3 times 5, which is 15. And then you've got x to the 2 times x. Now remember, there's that invisible 1. And I add the powers. 2 plus 1 is 3. So x to the 3. And then I do the p's. I've got 4 plus 3, which gives me p to the 7. If you got that right, really, really good. Let's do a similar one to that. So we've got 4a to the minus 2. B to the 3 times 2a to the minus 5b. Okay, so hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, in stages. 4 times 2 is 8. Now I've got a to the minus 2 times a to the minus 5. I know that a times question is add, but with those negatives, I like to see what's going on. So I'm doing minus 2 add minus 5. That's going to give me a minus. If I'm at minus 2 and I go down a further 5 places, I'm at minus 7. So that's going to give me a to the minus 7. And then I've just got an invisible 1 on that b. So I'm adding the b's. 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay, let's do another one. We're going to do 24a to the 7 divided by 6a to the minus 2. Have a go. Okay, so just as in the times questions, you know, if you've got more than one element going on, you will do them in stages. So we're going to do these numbers first. This is 24 divided by 6. 24 divided by 6 is 4. And then I've got a to the 7. It's a divide, so it's a take question. So my power is 7. I've got to take away negative 2. That's creating a plus, and 7 plus 2 is 9. So it's a to the 9 as a final answer. Okay, so there's all sorts of things that we can be doing. I've shown you enough to give you that chance to practice. So these are your practice questions. You may see a couple of things in there that are slightly different. You may not. So let's get this so you can see it. Oh, you can't see that top one very well. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get rid of me. That'll be the easiest thing. Okay, so those are your practice questions. If you haven't done a course before, then what's going to happen is I'm going to bring up all the answers. And what I recommend that you do is you just do a couple of questions and then you check in with the answers to make sure it's going well, and then you do some more. So I wouldn't do all 15 and then mark. All you'll need to do is just obviously let it run to the answers when you're ready to do some marking, and then you just rewind it back to the questions. Okay, so well done for your first session. I will see you for the second session when you are ready to get involved in that one. Well done today. Okay, and those are your answers. So like I say, just rewind back to the questions and mark as you go.